104.5, the team, your home for New York sports. We head out to Cleveland. He's our buddy from 92.3, The Fan, CBS in Cleveland, Alex Hooper. Alex, first things, man, this Cavaliers team, I'm always a naysayer when somebody says to flip a switch. It looks like they have. Is there any chance Toronto can even give them troubles right now?
I think they're capable of giving them troubles. I don't know that they will. The Cavs seem to have the book on how to stop DeRozan and Lowry. A lot of hard traps on DeRozan, force the ball out of his hands, and then otherwise just force him to shoot pull-up jumpers, and then you kind of let Kyle Lowry do whatever he's going to do, and you live with it. You know, he's averaging 20 points a game in, the two series, if you consider last year, and this one game of this series, but he's averaging about 20, and that's what he got in game one, and Ty Lue and LeBron seem to be okay with just letting him have that. And then otherwise, like I said, on DeRozan, you don't let him hurt you. You put JR out there on him, and if you need help from LeBron, then you get help from LeBron. But otherwise, I think they kind of have the book, and it doesn't seem like even with P.J. Tucker and Serge Ibaka that the Raptors have been able to do anything to slow down the Cavs' offense, especially if you look at their 4 wins last year in the Eastern Conference Finals, and that first one's given up a ton of points.
So I'm watching the Cavaliers, as you touched on, slow down the Raptors. The other side of the series, you have the Wizards and the Celtics. From watching that series, do you believe one of those two teams could even test the Cavaliers in the conference finals?
As far as team matchups go, I would say that the Wizards can't, but it doesn't look like the Wizards are going to make it through, even when they come out and blast the Celtics early at home. Boston just kind of runs back and is able to, take those victories. They did it last night, even though it took overtime, but it doesn't look like the Wizards are going to get out of that series. Now, with the Celtics, I just don't think they match up well with the Cavs. I think the finesse of Al Horford is something they were hoping to really be able to rely on, but in a couple of regular season games against the Cavaliers, it didn't look like Horford was much of a factor, and then otherwise, just not a whole lot doing. Obviously, it changes in the playoffs, and you've seen what that team's been able to do, but I don't think really the Celtics are a great matchup for the Cavaliers.
Alex Hooper with us right now. He's from 92.3 The Fan, CBS in Cleveland. When you look at LeBron James, we all know he's the greatest player on earth, but are we still kind of underappreciating him?
I would say so. People, it's kind of a in-the-moment thing that I think humans and especially sports fans are very prone to, and that is find flaws in a guy at the time because you want to be able to have the consideration, you want to be able to have the conversation. I think a lot of people wanted to jump out and say, ooh, Steph Curry might be better, and ooh, look at what Kawhi Leonard's doing, but then you get LeBron in the playoffs and you see yet again that he is the greatest player on the planet, and probably all time. I'm willing to say that. I might be a little biased, but I just think it's nature. I think it's nature of people to want to criticize LeBron and want to poke holes in his game, but I think a lot of people are underappreciating him. If you're going up against him in series, sure, by all means. But if you're an objective basketball fan, watching LeBron James play, you got to drink it in because there's only so much. There's only so much more left. But yes, to answer your question, I think we're underappreciating him. Yes.
Let's swing it over to baseball. Going into the season, we talked to Buster Olney, and he thought the Cleveland Indians would not only get back to the World Series, but win the World Series. This Cleveland Indian team is underachieving right now, and why is that?
A lot of slow starts. The guy you just paid a ton of money for, and Edwin Encarnacion, he does not have great Aprils, and he's not having a great April. Did not have a great April, now that we turn the page to May. But he hasn't been great. The pitching staff, you look at it, you're going to count on Carlos Carrasco and Corey Kluber for a while. Kluber has been subpar. He's another guy who has pretty rough starts to the season. And then Carlos Carrasco has been good. But your war leader right now out of that pitcher spot is Danny Salazar. And then Josh Tomlin gives up a lot of homers. Trevor Bauer has been... I struggle to criticize players now that I'm in the locker room and talking to him every day, but he is a bit of a head case. He'll come out. He gave up 2 home runs, and then he came out and tried to tell the media that his pitches were perfect. Now, one of them was on the black, but then the other one was pretty much right over the middle, and then he'll sit there and try to tell you that everything is good. Now, when he got rocked the other day against the Tigers, he said, that was the first game I really struggled with execution. And then you look at his line, it looks like he struggled with execution quite a bit. People are hitting everything he puts in the zone. They're not swinging at balls out of the zone. He is just waning there in that 5 spot. So you have a lot of slow starts, and then the pitching staff isn't quite where you expect it to be, but they will.
Alex, are you afraid that Trevor Bauer is watching you with a drone right now?
Very possible. He's already blocked me on Twitter.
Sensitive,
that
is
was, he? Yeah. He's blocked just about every Cleveland media member on Twitter, and he does not take criticism terribly well.
Why was he blocking you? Did you tag him? Was it an @ situation? Did he go out and search for your comments about him? Why was the blocking happening?
Well, you see, I have this whole thing that I like to tell people about where I think you guys are kind of in the same boat. You're close to my age, if not my age. We had Twitter before we were actually in the business, so I was a fan of the Indians prior to covering them, and I told Trevor that I hope the Indians, and I did add him, I said that I hoped the Indians traded him and his whack rapping back to Arizona. That was when I was not covering the team, and that's when he was warming up to his own terrible rap song. Now, I've written raps of my own in my day back in high school on sick days, but I never published them, and I never played them for sold-out arenas. So maybe that's a plus for him that he has the stones to do that. But back then I looked at it as, wow, this is terrible, and it was bad.
92.3 The Fan in Cleveland's Alex Hooper with us right now on 104.5 The Team.
Alex, be careful on how you answer this question because we are the home for the New York Yankees here in the Capital Region. Are the Yankees the best team in the American League?
You want me to answer it seriously? Or
Go honest.
I don't think so. No.
Come on.
Thanks for the interview, Alex. We appreciate your time. We'll talk to you again.
Hey, how about this? I think the Red Sox are better.
Oh.
Nothing? I thought I would get a little more out of that.
There's a punch in the gut by Levack right there.
I mean, I'm just saying, if they're better, why did we take 2? I'm just saying, 7 hit them over 2 games. I went we.
Hey, I will say this about the Yankees is I didn't expect them to compete this year. I think they might. They seem to be a step ahead of, they finally say, we're going to do a rebuild project, and you expected it to kind of come to fruition next year, but they look like they have the bodies, especially when Gary Sanchez is back and acclimated to that lineup. This team looks like it's going to compete. Now, I think there are some guys that you could have a sale on, I think, and I hope that CC Sabathia ends up in Cleveland by the end of the year. But I think there's still some more to be done there.
All right, we're going to block you on Twitter after this. Alex Hooper with us. Alex, real quick, the Browns fans, how do they react to the drafts?
Well, you have 2 sections of Browns fans. You have the just forever pessimistic Browns fans who said, it doesn't matter who they drafted, they're going to screw it up. And then those were the same people who going into the draft, they said, doesn't matter, they're going to screw up the picks. And then, they trade back, they get another first-round pick next year, and they're like, oh, you gotta pick someone here. So that's kind of Browns fans in a nutshell. And then you have a lot of them who looked at it semi-objectively, or maybe not objectively at all, either way. But I think they've had a really nice draft. I think they filled a lot of holes. I think Kaiser was a value pick. I think people are very happy with it. But you see that kind of every year with these guys. They fire a coach, they bring them in, and they win the press conference, and then they win the draft, and then they win 1 game. So you'll see when things come around season time. But I think right now it's trending towards the positive. It's hard not to be positive about Myles Garrett.
He is Alex Hooper. He is on the point when it comes to Cleveland. He's a little off on the Yankees, but I'll let that go. Hooper, we love you, brother. Thanks for making time for us.
Thanks for having me, as always, guys.